New Claude Cowork AI agent is insane. You spend hours organizing files, copying and pasting between apps, turning screenshots into spreadsheets, building presentations from scratch. All that time adds up, and you know there has to be a better way. Well, something just dropped that changes everything, and it might be the biggest shift. We need to talk about Claude Cowork because Anthropic just released something that turns Claude from a chatbot into an actual digital coworker. And I'm not talking about just better responses. I'm talking about an AI that can access your computer files, organize folders, build spreadsheets, create presentations, and complete entire tasks while you focus on other work. This launched just days ago, and the AI community is losing their minds over it. So let's break down what this actually is, how it works, and the real use cases you can start using today. First, let's talk about what makes this different from regular AI tools. Most AI works like this. You ask a question, get an answer, copy that answer, paste it somewhere else, format it, rinse and repeat is helpful, but you're still doing all the manual work. Cowork removes that back and forth. You give it access to a specific folder, describe what you want done, and Claude just does it. Here's what makes this possible. Cowork is built on the exact same technology as Claude Code. Now, Claude Code launched in late 2024 as a tool for developers, but something interesting happened. Developers started using it for everything except coding. They used it to plan vacations, organize emails, cancel subscriptions, even monitor plant growth and control ovens. Anthropic noticed this, and they realized they had a general purpose AI agent disguised as a developer tool. The problem was, most people aren't comfortable with command line interfaces, so they built Cowork, same powerful agent capabilities, but wrapped in an interface anyone can use. And when I say powerful, I mean it. Let me walk you through some real use cases that people are already testing. First one is file organization. You know that downloads folder that's a complete mess? Hundreds of random files with names like screenshot-2025-01-12.png. Give Cowork access to that folder. Tell it to organize everything by type and date. And it goes through every single file, categorizes them into logical folders, renames them with clear labels, and delivers a clean, organized structure. What would take you hours gets done in minutes. Second use case, expense tracking. You got a pile of receipt screenshots sitting in a folder, different formats, different currencies all over the place. Drop them in a folder. Ask Cowork to extract the vendor names, amounts, dates, and create a formatted spreadsheet. It scans each receipt, pulls the exact data, builds a proper expense report with categories and totals. Now here's something important. Early tests show Claude sometimes struggles with exact dates and numbers, so you need to be very specific in your instructions. Tell it to mark unclear dates as unknown instead of guessing. Tell it to extract exact values only, no summaries. This makes a huge difference in accuracy. Third use case, research synthesis. You've got notes scattered across multiple documents. Meeting notes, research files, random thoughts, all disconnected. Tell Cowork to review everything and create one structured summary. It reads through all your files, connects the dots, identifies key points, open questions, decisions made, and next actions. It even adds citations showing which source file each point came from. This is insane for anyone managing multiple projects or doing deep research work. But it gets better. Cowork can also handle presentation creation. You have brand assets, context documents, previous presentations sitting in a folder. Tell Cowork to build a branded slide deck on a specific topic. It accesses your brand materials, pulls relevant content from your documents, and builds an entire presentation with proper formatting. You can even iterate on it, tell it to make the slides more visual, add lighter language, adjust the tone. It updates the whole deck without starting over. For teams creating regular presentations, this is a massive time saver. And here's where it gets really interesting. Cowork can learn workflows by watching you perform them once. This is called recording skills. You do a task manually, screen recording captures the sequence. Click here, copy this text, navigate to this website, paste it there, download the result. Cowork saves that entire workflow as a reusable skill. Next time you need that exact process, you just say, run my weekly report workflow, and it executes the whole thing autonomously. This works for content generation, data entry, any repetitive task you do regularly. When I first started exploring tools like this, I was completely overwhelmed. There are so many AI agents and automation platforms, and most of them promise the world, but deliver half-baked features. Now let's talk about how Cowork actually runs on your computer. Cowork operates inside a virtual machine for security, but Claude still has real access to the files you give it permission to see, and it can take destructive actions like deleting files if you tell it to, so you need to give extremely clear guidance, especially around deletion or major file changes. There's also a security concern called prompt injection. This is where malicious instructions hidden in content online could trick Claude into doing something you didn't intend. Anthropic has built defenses against this, but they openly admit agent safety is still an active area of development. Their recommendation is simple: start with folders you can afford to mess up, make backups, give very specific instructions, and verify the output, especially for financial data. Here's the practical stuff you need to know. Cowork is currently only available to Claude Max subscribers. That's the $100 to $200 per month plan. And right now, it only works on the macOS desktop app. Windows support is coming, but no timeline yet. If you're on another plan, you can join a waitlist. Once you have access, using it is straightforward. Open the Claude desktop app, click the Cowork tab in the sidebar, select a folder to share, describe your task. Claude shows you its plan, you approve, and it starts working. One thing to keep in mind: Cowork uses significantly more compute than regular chat. Complex multi-step tasks are intensive. They require more tokens to execute. So if you're hitting usage limits frequently, batch related work into single sessions. Use regular chat for simple questions. Save Cowork for the complex stuff that really benefits from autonomous execution. The desktop app also needs to stay open while Claude works. If you close it or your computer goes to sleep, the session ends. So for longer tasks, make sure your computer stays active. And the capabilities extend beyond local files. Cowork can use your existing connectors. These are tools that link Claude to external services, things like Asana, Notion, PayPal. If you pair Cowork with the Claude Chrome extension, it can also complete tasks that require browser access, navigate websites, fill forms, extract information. So you could tell it to pull data from an analytics dashboard, create a spreadsheet with specific metrics, and generate visualizations showing trends, all without you touching the dashboard interface. Real-world example: someone asked Cowork to analyze their product analytics. Claude navigated the dashboard, exported data, organized it, created charts, and explained what it meant, all delivered in plain language with supporting data. Another example: video content repurposing. Drop a long-form video in a folder. Tell Cowork to create 3 vertical clips for LinkedIn. It resizes, crops for platform specs, and delivers ready to upload files. And because it can control the browser, it can even post the content directly if you teach it that workflow. The implications here are pretty wild. A lot of startups built entire businesses around these specific tasks: file organization tools, receipt scanners, presentation builders, browser automation platforms. Cowork does all of that in one place through natural language. So here's what you should do next. If you're a Mac user with a Max Plan subscription, download the desktop app and try Cowork with a non-critical folder. Give it a real task you've been avoiding: file organization, expense tracking, note synthesis. See how it performs, pay attention to what it does well and where it struggles, learn its quirks. If you're not on Mac or don't have the Max plan, join the waitlist, and in the meantime, watch what people are building with it. The AI community is experimenting fast and sharing results. You'll learn what workflows are worth trying and which ones need more development. The key insight here is this: Cowork isn't perfect yet, but it represents a real shift in how we interact with AI. From answering questions to completing work, from suggestions to execution, that shift is happening now, and the tools that get this right will fundamentally change how knowledge work gets done. Whether Cowork becomes the standard or gets overtaken by competitors doesn't matter as much as understanding where this is all heading, because this is just the beginning. AI agents are here, they're getting better fast, and the people who learn how to work with them effectively are going to have a serious advantage.